Since the removal of fuel subsidy in May, many Nigerians have noticed and are talking about the constantly increasing cost of living. We've brought it center stage on our program Weekend Deal. Good thing you were part of the program yesterday when we talked about economic realities. Experts lent their voice to the discussion. We continue to do that again today. Well, Francis takes it up again. We can call this like phase 2. He's looking at other sectors in the economy that is being impacted, like health, for example. Out-of-pocket expenses can be steep. Francis, please share. What did you find?
It's not easy to just wake up one day that if a liter of fuel was 195 and all of a sudden it's 500 and is above 500 naira and now it's over 600 naira. So it will affect every area. People would have to look at into those things. What do I do first? You have to put food on the table for your children, because when your children are hungry, you can't tell them, hey, there is no food. So, and you have to make sure your children go to school. And if your child, God forbid, is sick, you know, yes, you need medications. You have to go to the hospital. So those things will come first. For people who have cars, I will use myself as an example. Myself and my wife, we have 2 cars. But right now, for some time now, most especially since this thing started, I just dropped my wife in her office before coming here. It's simple. Everybody will have to rearrange themselves to fit into the current situation. For instance, if your child attends school in a place very far away from home, you might, and you feel that the cost of transport is too much, you might reconsider changing school. There is nothing wrong about changing school. If you have people in your area that have children too in that same school, or in that same school where your child attends, you might still do the same thing in this car sharing thing. If your children, you have maybe 2 children, one or two other people can join to you. You people can come together. Okay, this week let me drop and pick the children from school. The following week, you drop and pick the children from school, and so on, like that. So the burden will be less. And it's not just with school or transportation. It's with every aspect of our national lives. If you look at electricity, for instance. One thing I've in my estate, you see people at 12 noon, the security lights are still on in your compound. Doing what? All this time. And then the lights in the house, everything are on. For what reason? Because we don't care. And to some extent, I see it maybe because these things were very cheap. The era of certificates is over. If there is anything you can learn to do, add little extra money into your pocket, why not? You will do it. But the major thing to do right now is to have a scale of preference.
Weekend Deal today is captured.
Interesting. Sometimes we care less about what happens around us, in our immediate surroundings. If not, why then will you leave your lights on when dawn has arrived and you can see that it's daylight? There are some habits that we need to check so that we can progress together. Interesting, isn't it? Is the norm, and we can make a deliberate decision to stop doing those things now. We go to Maiduguri now, where there's talk about managing our personal finances. We did hear from Dr. Henry yesterday that we should put it on paper, write it. The family should sit together, make a budget. Don't just talk about it. When it is written, it has a more positive impact of everyone who has seen it, because then they can begin to practice it. But we'll go to Maiduguri now. What else is new?
With narrative of harsh economic reality in today's Nigeria, the balance between customer prices and expected level of reforms in Nigerian policies still remain uncertain for hardest working and lower income earners.
People are suffering, people are working far distance because they can't afford the transportation. Nigerians are resilient, they are patient. If they are going to remove subsidy on fuel, then let them remove. If they are going to remove it, then let them put subsidy on food. Let them control the market price. If they are going to put subsidy on food, let them remove subsidy. Let put subsidy on education. Let there be at least an alternative. But if I'm feeling pain is here, so I think I have a relief here.
In most places, I think households' demand has gone drastically to food. And you see, in economics, it's expected that if household is spending more than 10 or 20% of his income on only food alone, then that person is in danger. And currently what is happening is the economy also is in danger. Yes, so something needs to be done in order to strengthen the purchasing power of household.
Dealing with persistent day-to-day spending has obviously affected many family lives.
In some places also, you know, a lot of people talk about having breakfast, lunch, and supper. Yes, I'm telling you that in most households, adjustment has to take place. So maybe if you are able to get one in the morning, one in the evening, that can sustain a life. Or for old people, you can take one in the morning and then a good lunch, and then forget about the supper and a number of those.
Unexpected escalating cost of living has resulted to unbearable torments in life and business.
We are hoping it will get better, but if it goes like this, so many businesses will shut down.
Government in its own wisdom would have discussed and put up a strategy of the palliatives that will be given to people. So as you are hitting the ground with this devaluation, removal of the subsidy, and inflation is hitting the economy, you then bring in the palliative.
Interestingly, many are in great despair to survive. People need to prioritize only their basic needs in managing the difficult times.
It's not as before. The turnover is kind of less, and some customers are focusing on mostly basic things, food and toiletries. Unlike before, when they will come and buy almost everything. Some of them have stopped being coming. Well, those that used to come with their family, all they come with the wife, the kid, and all of that. So they will tell you, when you are, where are the family? No. You just come to pick one or two things which are basic. You understand? And then some of them, even the basic one, they prepare to buy in a local market.
How do you cope now?
The way I'm coping up, everybody is coping up in our own decision. In every situation, there's a way you handle it.
Our experience and the will to cope in a new economic reality of time can truly help in shaping our future.
It's interesting to know that what you repeatedly do, you become. Any habits, hopefully positive habits that you imbibe, that you share with your family and friends, it will become you. So we're talking about a total lifestyle change. There's no room for wastage. Let's meet and greet Paul at Honorable Prince Ego Sajeri. He's a tourism expert. Great to have you with us on Weekend Deal. When we're talking tourism, we want to look internally. Look into Nigeria. We know that in times past, many Nigerians, when it was time for holidays, they would just jet out of the country, perhaps with their family. Weddings, we had things we call destination weddings. People will go to Dubai, South Africa, with their family and friends, airlift them, Good times, good experiences, good memories. But we're looking at the realities now. It may not be as often as many will want. And we know we've often talked about a growing our industry in Nigeria, our tourism industry, so to speak. But we'll come and talk about that in just a minute, okay? For now, we will take another break. We will take our feature from Kaduna, still focusing on our saving on bills. There are some things that you are paying money for. Perhaps, can you look inwards and see how you can put that aside for the now? Kaduna, please take it from here.
It is not news that the world is going through hard times, with inflation affecting almost all aspects of life. Nigerians are not left out as we are faced with the new realities of life, which has led to people devising creative ways to cope and save on bills such as electricity and other utilities.
It's a kind of for every Nigerian to mirror down, look inward, evaluate your situation, and we call it lifestyle change. Taking into consideration the situation we are into. It's about taking measures to mitigate the effect of fuel subsidy, to mitigate the effect of inflation, and make life easier for ourselves. We don't have to wait for government, we don't have to wait for anybody, we have to start with ourselves. And the way we start is about cutting down costs, doing away with those things that are not necessary, those things that are not important, those things that are not relevant to our life. And the relevant ones, we look for a way to make them, do them in a cheaper way.
Business owners are not left out. They share their coping mechanism.
It's really, really difficult for us here because we are dealing with students. And students, most of them, they are not working. We buy for almost every day. If there is constant light for us to operate, so we don't need to be on the gen every time. Because for us to on gen is a lot of money. As we have to increase the price anytime we on gen. So they complain that it's high.
The only problem we are facing on this economic issue is that's the fuel issue. It takes us so many times before we finish most of the work we did in the shop. And also some of the customers, they complain, and we give them, just talk to them so that they will be patient on the issue.
A copy of photocopy is going for 14 naira. So imagine that we have to photocopy up to 30 to 40 pages of assignments.
Due to the hike in the price of PMS, it is increasingly becoming difficult to power petrol-driven generators, which is the most popular alternative of power for Nigerians, owing to the fact that public power supply is unstable in most parts of the country. Hence the need for homes and businesses to switch to renewable energy.
Well, one of the things I always say is, you don't put all your eggs in one basket. We are very dependent for energy here on oil and gas in the south. Now, we have, if you look at the north of Nigeria, we have a lot of land space and we have the sun shining on us, very, very continuously. It's very hot up here in the north. And literally, if we could intervene and the government could intervene and now start harnessing renewable energy in the north, it would be quite easy for just the states. If you look at the land mass of Kaduna State, if that was solar panelled, we would be able to power the whole of Nigeria, and all our oil and gas could pretty much get exported, except for what we refine locally for petrol and diesel. So if governments can actually actively and help put panels and have a renewable energy scheme in the north, I feel this would really, really help people. If you look at cooking gas, it's the same thing. The price equivalence is actually the same. We are selling energy. But where there's one place where there's still a subsidy, which is actually gas. Not the cooking gas, but the gas that we use for power stations, etc. And there is a subsidy. So at the moment, that gas is cheaper than all the other energy. And you can see the reflection on the electrical sector, because the gas is subsidized, it now has a cumulative effect where like the whole of our electricity system is a bit like the refineries with the petrol subsidy. We cannot do it until that price of gas goes up. But generally, to just summarize, cooking gas, petrol, diesel, kerosene, when you look at the amount of energy they contain, they all pretty much cost the same. So if you're looking to reduce the price, you're looking to try and harness free energy, which is where we go back to renewables, solar, wind, rivers, hydroelectric. That is where we get cheap energy. But yeah, cooking gas, petrol, diesel, they're all actually the same price, even though they look different.
As Nigerians are beginning to realize that the current situation of things may be the new normal for the time being, we must all make adjustments in our day-to-day activities in order to cushion the effects of inflation.
Lifestyle change is pertinent, but what our focus is today is how to make a lifestyle change that you can adopt to easily and you can keep doing for a while, and everyone, your family and friends, will come on board. Okay, we have Honorable Igo Sajere. He's a tourism expert and he's here with us on Weekend Deal today.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Fantastic
Thank
time.
you.
When we talk tourism, we know it's wide.
Very wide, yeah.
But first up is holiday period. Oftentimes like this, people want to relax with their family and friends. And in times past, they will think, I'm going out. Perhaps Dubai, perhaps South Africa, perhaps the United Kingdom, the United States, you name it. There's a myriad of interesting places where Nigerians often like to visit. But we know that there's something phenomenal happening in our country. We have our own tourism destinations. Tell us about that.
Yeah, once again, I want to thank NTA for this opportunity. Nigerians, we've not been able to prioritize our needs. And this current economic reality is good for the country. That's just the truth. We must be able to understand what financial intelligence and financial management for you to be able to cope currently. And when you look at the tourism sector, it's very wide. And Nigerians, we give birth a lot. Currently, we're in vacation period where families, more than 1, 2, 3, 4, travel abroad. To me, the cost of traveling 5 years ago and today is not the same. 2015, we have our dollar rate was 185 naira. As we speak today, it's over 900,000. A flight for 250,000 2015, as at today, is over 2 million naira for one person. And a family of 4, you'll be looking at more than 10 million. Why this? And that brought us to the economic reality. Let's come back home. Ranging from Abia states to the other states in Nigeria, we have over 2,000 tourism sites. If ANES can bring revenue back to the country, and that is the reality.
Entice us with some names of some of these destination sites.
They are broad. From my state, Delta State, we have the cocoa, where we have the people that came in then prior to our independence to come and establish tourism. We have the Liver Brother in Asaba. Then we'll go to Kogosi.
What will make these sites engaging for people? Because we have very sophisticated taste. If I go to Koko, for example, if I go to Ikogosi, what will I see there? Why will my children be excited?
No, the truth is, I believe in organic tourism, not artificial, where you have all over the world. Like in Dubai, what we have is inorganic. Nigeria's tourism site and attraction is organic. They are natural. Like in Kogosi, you have the spring. You are happy, it's nature. And nature on its own gives life. It's not something you develop. But what our major problem is running it, the cost of maintenance, the cost of management. See, a lot of people all over the world wish to come to Nigeria to witness and to view and to participate in our tourism activities. But the government, in terms of publicity, in terms of management, in terms of funding, those our tourism sector has comatose. We need to work on it. Yes, it has been so slow. So we need to look beyond the political arrangement. Give it to professionals to manage.
Like you?
Yeah, definitely. I'm a consultant, a tourism consultant for more than 15 years. A tourism consultant can do a proper job.
Of maintaining them.
Of maintaining
and
it.
driving revenue.
Definitely.
Which will, of course, impact the country.
100%. We are losing fund every single day. For last year count, over 16 million Nigerians travel abroad. Why they travel abroad?
But tell us what is happening now. Do we have more Nigerians still going out?
Over.
They're still traveling.
Over. As at June, the statistics for 2022, over 16 million Nigeria traveled.
But I know that some are also going for educational tourism. People are going to school abroad as well.
No, the truth is, we have all this stuff here in Nigeria. Is it the education? We have private university, we have state university. I attended very well. I attended a federal university. So why spending over 10 million, 15, 20 million, where you can have less than $1 million naira for tuition fee here in Nigeria? So let's go local.
It's as though you even watched our program last week. Our focus was security consciousness. And when all the experts spoke, we wrapped up by saying, when you see something, say something. Because oftentimes, some of these miscreants, these criminals, are in our neighborhoods. Some of us know them. And we stay mute. And it's not in our best interest, as we have come to learn. Now, let's talk about medical tourism. Some people hardly have surgeries or operations here. Some don't even buy drugs here. Some people cannot walk into a pharmacy and buy medicine. They are thinking, no, I have to call my doctor there, Dubai, SA. No, they will send my drugs down. How did we come to that point? And what, in your own experience, are we looking to do now? So that we can latch on. Like you say, you are happy about the realities because it's affecting everyone. How can we now benefit from what is on ground?
To me, that's why I said the tourism sector covers the entire economic sector. We will soon be having a new brand minister for health. Let's set our priorities straight. Why should I go to India for a kidney transplant when we have one of the best hospital and professionals here in Abuja and in Nigeria?
We've had some in Enugu, in Abia,
all over Nigeria. All over Nigeria. Why will I spend huge amount of money on flights, on medical bills? A lot, mention it. Let's encourage local content. We have people, we have the pharmaceutical company that produce drugs. Why can't we encourage them? Why can't we release funds to them? Why can't we build them up? The medical tourism is one of the ways we are losing out. Because an average medical experience over there in the US, if you want to give birth, the average amount you spend is $25,000. Yeah, in Nigeria, the least you spend is roughly in the government hospital is less than 100,000. So why going to the United States to give birth? Why going to the UK? Why going to Canada? Why going to the Europe to give birth? When we have such facility here in Nigeria, it's misplacement of priority.
So people have been traveling abroad for several reasons.
Yeah.
We do know these hospitals exist. Some of us, by the grace of God, are mothers, so we know firsthand what has happened in some of these hospitals. So it is our hope that, as you spoke of funding, it will be put in the place where it will make impact.
Definitely, yeah.
Because sometimes some people have talked about the way some of the healthcare givers interact with patients. Some say it leaves a lot to be desired. It's our hope that this change that will be phenomenal in Nigeria will also impact them largely. We need to be more humane. We need to be kind.
We have people that do not have the passion for the job. Nigerians should teach Nigerians.
We are Nigerians.
In South Africa, do you understand? From the airports in Johannesburg to your hotel or to your accommodation, you see people with passion to drive the economy.
Okay.
Nigerians should see ourselves as first Nigerian. Let's bring out that passion. I'm so happy of our female team that just played the World Cup.
Were you there?
No, I was happy hearing one of our most talented footballer speaking that she has the Nigerian blood. Indeed. And nothing should take it from us.
Indeed.
If every one of us
thinks Nigerian.
Nigerian blood. Things will go for,
if we think of it like ours, and then show love to our neighbor, irrespective of who they are, their status, or their religious affiliation. But hold that thought, we're going to Ibadan now. There's talk about the government. They said they are bringing about some palliative measures that is having a positive impact on citizens, because they too are facing the economic realities that we all face everywhere in Nigeria. Please share.
The economic situation in the country has placed a big burden on many Nigerians, thereby making them find solutions by all means to survive the quagmire. No doubt, housing is one of the major essentials of living. After food, the present economic challenges is, however, making things a bit more difficult as Nigerians struggle to cope with the increased cost of living. In Ibadan, the economic hardship occasioned by false subsidy is already taking its toll on all aspects of lives, from foodstuffs, transport fares, school fees, and housing. Landlords have started increasing their rents. Even corps members that were recently posted to the states are not finding it easy compared to as it was before.
The rate of accommodation is actually very high, but getting to some other parts of the state is very, very affordable. But considering the fact that we came during the cashless policy, almost everything hiked up, and then considering the recession too, things are still going up.
Business is not even going like well. Can you just imagine me paying 1.2 before, then the landlord increased it out of nowhere? Me now paying 2 million is not reasonable. What of like people that have average? How do they cope? How do they manage this whole thing?
And when you're talking of rent is not just the money you pay alone to the landlord. It includes that transportation from your house to where you are working. So when you're looking at, okay, you want to rent this house now, 250,000 naira, and you are going to work at Dubai, and your transport per day is 1,000. That's for 26 days. That's 26,000 naira. That would be harder. So by the time you are not going for transportation now, that is based on 617 naira per liter, you can pay 1,000 again as compared to the past.
One would have thought the situation would differ in rural area. A visit to Oluwo in Egbeda local government bring another story to behold.
In fact, in urban area, we are still enjoying than in rural area. Like me now, if I want to go to my house to Junction, Oluwo Junction, before it's 100 naira bike, but now it's 300. From Oluwo Junction to Iwo Road, before it's 100 naira, now it's 500 naira. Can you imagine now? My transport to and fro is 2,000 naira per day, which is too much. So even though shelter, accommodation, food stuff, rice now per Congo is 1,600. Can you imagine that? Some are selling to 1,800. So rent, before we are renting a house is 3,000, it's now 4,000 naira per month. So it's self-contained. Even though my own, because I'm a landlord, my place, a self-contained is 150, now it's 250,000. Can you imagine that? So we are facing hell.
On the part of the government, measures are being taken to alleviate the suffering of the masses. For instance, new salary increase, payment of bonuses, provision of transport to ease the huge cost of transport are parts of palliatives to cushion the effect.
The government have a vital role to play. When the cost of building materials now is very, very expensive. A bag of cement is now 5,200 this morning, and it's about 3 years ago about 1,800. And to provide a self-contained now, plus minus, the developer will spend close to 1.2, 1.5 to provide just a self-contained after the acquisition of the land. And if that person want to give that such a house, how many years going to recoup the capital?
Following the removal of fuel subsidy, we announced measures to be taken to cushion the effect of the removal. We are updating our social register to include 200,000 of the poorest of the poor. This will be provided with immediate food relief packages. As usual, we will ensure transparency in the registration process so that only those who qualify will get this immediate relief.
Nigerians, particularly residents of Oyo State, however, call for more visible impacts.
We are not exporting anything in Nigeria. So the first thing government should just do is to make sure we begin to work on Naira to be appreciated with dollar. By the time you have naira going down, maybe around 400 naira to $1, it will force the price of rice down because we are importing. It will force the price of petrol down. We are importing. Every other thing that we are importing will be down, and we should encourage government to support the exporters.
In all, many believe government has a good motive on fuel subsidy. They say a more holistic approach that will reduce the pains is what they expect in the nearest future, as they are eagerly anticipating.
It is true that government is responsible for the safety and survival of its citizens. But at this point, we must look inwards. Innovation and ingenuity will take center stage now because government and governance will not do everything. You need to think like there's no box. Think of yourself, think of your family, leave no stone unturned. Like Dr. Henry said yesterday, there's no free lunch, even in Freetown. We need to be proactive. Those things we were given for free, those services, begin to put a little price on them. For example, now, Honorable Ego, there are things you were helping your friends do for free. Help them make some connection, make some contacts. I know that at this point, you're not lacking things, but it's something you could put a small price on. Do you think?
No, definitely.
Interesting. Like someone was saying, I'm not going to the airport, but my friend is traveling, and ordinarily I would have taken Ego to the airport for free. I could just tell him, now with this high cost of PMS, rather than pay 8,000 for Uber or Bolt, wouldn't you just give me 5,000? Let me just top up my fuel. I'll take you there and I'll be back, in a few minutes. How does that sound?
No, definitely. I love things like what I said. My theory is always based on misplacement of priority. Nigerians, we want things free. We don't want to work for it. We don't want to go for it. We keep complaining. This is not the time to do that. When there are scarcity, look beyond the scarcity. That's why I said tourism is the gold mine. We have the medical sector, the health sector, we have the agri-tourism. We have the education there. We have the transport. So it's very broad. And all this, if well harnessed, let me be sincere to you. You as a private individual, you'll be making money. You have a 2-bedroom. Why not give one of your bedroom out to booking.com? Give it out. People will come to stay. They pay you. The least they pay for such services currently going on in Nigeria is more than 20,000 naira.
A nice idea you're sharing.
That's just the truth. A lot of us will build houses. 10-bedroom, nobody is staying in it.
Staying there.
So why can't you rent out? Not on the monthly basis, on a daily basis. We have different websites online. That is where the apartment stuff comes in. Give it out.
Why Nigerians are still very confident in spite of the challenges that many face, because they know that there's someone at the helm of affairs who has the best interest of every single Nigerian at heart. And it makes us look onto every new day with a lot of optimism. Yeah. Fantastic, fantastic. So in your final conversation, your final thoughts, let's surmise all we have discussed and still tell Nigerians that it's up to us to build this country together. Starting with this gold mine we've been talking about, the tourism sector. Let's encapsulate all we have discussed.
Yeah, definitely.
In 1 minute.
Yeah, definitely. Last 2022, we have more than 1.7 above million of Nigerian tag this Japa syndrome. 2021, they were less than 500. 2022, over 1.7 million. And when you are traveling, most of them pay more. I have a couple of friends. I'm into the industry. Fine. People will be saying, why are you saying this? I don't believe in getting funds that will hurt Nigeria. People come to my agency for all this stuff. But the truth must be
But you want them to stay back.
I want us to build our local content.
In fact, it was very painful. I was reading something online yesterday. A man moved to Canada with his family, paid over 15 million for 4 people. When he got there, just there, he was set to be deported back to Nigeria because of some infringement or the other, which the agency had not informed him about. We want to thank you, Honorable Prince Igu Sajere. Thank you for your enthusiasm about our country, because it's one for all and all for one now. We often say, when in doubt, be kind, be compassionate, and share knowledge.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you so
coming.
much.
We've learned from
Nigeria
you.
will be great.
Indeed.
Currently, we have a president that is a former senator. The wife of the president is a former senator. The SGF is a former senator. These are people with proven integrity. They will work. Nigerians should be patient. It's my appeal. Nigerians should be patient. Within this week, our minister's portfolio will be reviewed. Nigerians should be patient. Okay. You cannot start a project today and end it today.
So greatness awaits.
It's like conception.
Greatness is here for us.
A lady cannot be pregnant today and want
give
to
birth
deliver.
That same
Yes,
day.
that's
Okay,
same
fine.
day. We should be patient with the government. Things will unfold positively for Nigerians. Fine, we have economic reality, but it will help us. One, if we can be able to manage our financial stuff. And that is the truth. Once again, I want to thank you for this privilege.
Okay, it's been fantastic having you. You're watching Weekend Deal. We're talking about economic realities that we all face, and it's time to take a break. Don't go away. It's great to have your company on our program as usual. We're talking about the economic realities that we are all facing and how to stand strong amidst it all and to come out winning. And the only way we can do that is to have a well-laid plan. Because we often say that those who fail to plan, they definitely are planning to fail. And we don't want any of that, do we? Not at all. We meet our next guest. He is Femi Shoyaju, the co-founder of Ifemad Global Limited. He's here with us to talk about the economic realities on ground. Good to have you with us on Weekend Deal.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. You know, even though we're asking Nigerians to look inwards, you know, to form great lifestyle habits and to inculcate it in others where they can, we also know that governance at different levels can also make a gigantic impact. Like our last guest was talking about, the tourism sector. Yesterday was about different areas, maybe tax, importation, export, and all of that. But what is your angle? How do you think governance can impact us now? We know some governments are already doing a little or a lot for their citizens.
Okay, thank you. I think the main issue with Nigeria has always been governance. Because if we had had a good leader, things would have gone faster than it is now. And the enabling environment to make things to grow for the citizen, it's not there at all. Definitely it's not there.
But some people are thriving or have thrived.
Some people are thriving, but the fact that whatever they're doing, we can't see the impact. Maybe I'm talking from the perspective that I live most of my life in the UK, but just coming back to Nigeria now.
How long have you been? How long?
I've been in the UK for over 35 years now.
How long have you been back home?
I've been back home for over 2 years now.
Good.
And I've seen a lot of things that needs improvement.
Okay.
First, I went to Mina a couple of days ago and we drove past Zuma Rock. And what came to my head is that, why is this place wasting? Because Zuma Rock. I can imagine that a tourist attraction or a resort can be done around the rocks where people will fly to Abuja and come straight there. I believe that Mina Airport is going to start operation very soon. They can fly to Lagos to Mina and come there as well. And also in my last 2 years, I've been around Nigeria, especially the northern region. And the amount of land that we have that is not being used is incredible. I'll tell you one thing quickly. Things that are happening in Nigeria now, we've got the people and we've got the acumen. There's a lot of people that understand what to do, but it's the environment.
A lot of startups for young people have been ongoing. But what I do not have the facts about perhaps is the amount of people who have been impacted. Many were touched. We do know that a lot of money was given out, some as loans, some as grants, but there are still a lot more Nigerians who still need that. And we also have come to learn that some checks and balances ought to be placed when money is being disbursed. Because in as much as we have many Nigerians who are willing to put in their know-how and learn while doing it and don't mind being guided, there are quite a few who would take whatever you give and they just use it as a
Something
feel-good amount of money. What about tax rebates? What about the manufacturing sector? What about making things that are Nigerian? From what we find, many of what we use here are imported.
I think that is a major downturn in Nigerian economy, because you need to produce what you use, what you eat. When we had Operation Feed the Nation, that was good. We have enough for ourselves and we even export for foreign reserves. But at the end of the day, it's all got to do with the way things are balanced out. Because when you have people that can promote issues within Nigeria, that have got the skill to do a lot of things, starting up a business, there's a lot of tax rebates that's been given. If you start a business in the UK, you are given some tax allowance, some tax
Immediately.
Immediately. And that helps your business to grow. And they give you a lot of grants to support you, because they know by the time you get to that peak, a lot of revenue will be coming in for the government.
And you'll be employing so many people.
You'll be employing so many
and
people.
you take people off the streets and thereby reduce crime,
That's right.
criminality,
Yes.
and perhaps insecurity.
Absolutely.
We'll continue our conversation in just a moment. Dayo has been looking at the education sector. You know, the minute we had the fuel subsidy removed, we started seeing a hike in prices in literally everything.
Yes.
But good thing, many parents had already paid fees at that time. But a new term is upon us now, and many parents and guardians wait with trepidation and bated breath about what the fees will be. It is upon us. There's advice that will come from you when we return. But let's see what Dayo found, talking about affordable education and the reality on ground right now. Dayo, please share.
Therefore, a consonant cluster is found. It modifies the noun phrase, the book. Good.
Education is a key gift one can give to a child. It's one of the best ways to shape children's values and future. Hence, choosing the best environment and place of learning for children is very important to parents.
For us, the factor that influenced the choice of our children's school is the fact that my children started from that school, all of them from the crèche. And I noticed that the same set of teachers that have taught the first child are the same set of teachers that are teaching the last child. And that is consistency for me. The school is not used to hiring and firing. And so their teachers are professional and they have grown in the job. And that makes it very comforting for me. The owner of the school is a very disciplined man, and he is always on ground himself, checking that everything goes on well. So performance, consistency, relaxation, the fear of God, and everything that I want that gives me peace is in that school.
Parents generally consider many factors like the school values, school fees, environment, security, the school performance in external exams, level of discipline, and location. Many parents in Nigeria used to consider these factors while choosing schools for their wards.
It's far because you can't trek, and then we use a school bus. Because of the nature of my job and my husband's job, it's almost impossible for us to do school runs, and so we resolve to a school bus. That's because they can't trek. The distance is far.
Though stable and secure environment coupled with schools' antecedents on performance and values are very important factors parents consider in choice of schools for their wards.
Not at all. In fact, it is times 2 of what it used to be. Before they even vacated, they had given us the new price and all that. And I remember me and my husband having a conversation, and we're like, with the hike of school bus now that it's times 2, how are we going to do? I'm not considering changing their school. In fact, around my house, we have like 6 schools. They can just step out of the gate and walk into the school compound. And they're good schools, but the truth is that I do not feel comfortable right now changing their school for any reason. the school they are right now gives us peace, and we'll have to just manage.
However, with the high cost of vehicular commuting from one place to another, proximity to schools would be a top-ranked factor in choice of schools consideration by parents, because apart from fact that it stimulates cost savings, it makes the school accessible in time of emergency and helps students to be punctual in school and mentally settled for class.
When we are choosing schools for our wards and our children, we take a lot into consideration. But now, with the current realities on ground, we will have to perhaps find a level playing field. It will not be everything as perfectly as we would have liked, but perhaps we'll let you lend your voice to this discourse. Training our children is important because we want them to become responsive and responsible adults in any society they find themselves. At this point, what ought we take into consideration? There will be a hike in fees, especially in private schools.
First of all, I'd like to start by saying that education is necessity for every child. If any child is denied education, that is their future in jeopardy. And if I'm doing a bit of comparison from when we used to go to school, things are a lot different. Things are a lot different. But now, there's been a lot of issues with the education system, whereby primary...
You may need to put that off.
Apologies.
We need to put that off.
The alarm I did.
You can put that off.
Okay.
It does happen.
Yeah, apologies. So, when you're in primary school, secondary school, and our universities here, the private ones have completely taken over all the educational system because the almost all, because the standard in the public one have completely dropped, and that is not supposed to be the case.
We will also examine if it is possible to make education free at all levels in this country as it is today. But let's go to Onitsha. Whether we like it or not, there's always a reason to gather friends and family and celebrate one thing or the other. Perhaps in times we had large-scale celebrations. It's your birthday, you and your wife will invite all your relatives, you have a big cake, be cooking for 3 days. Is it something you think you do now?
Oh, yes, we do that all the time.
But will you do that now?
Oh, yeah, because that is the only time to bring everybody together.
So you still cook for 3 days and spend loads of money?
Well,
you won't cut the budget.
A lot of money, but at least it's coming together of all the family.
Okay, you come together, but you do it low
on a
lower scale. Okay, we go to Onitsha now. Let's talk about low budget event planning and celebrations. We should key into this. Let's see.
The current economic realities in Nigeria, no doubt, is having its toll on many, if not the entire populace. The situation has been so glaring, reflecting in the way people go about their day-to-day activities. The main reason for this adjustment is to surmount the economic challenges staring on the faces of the masses. While the hard situation is beating hard on all sectors of the economy, events planning and its likes seem to have been affected the most.
Someone comes to you for a job and maybe the price you tell the person on the high side, he goes to another person, and if for instance the person has not gotten anything to do for some time, the person will just go with the price the client is willing to offer, of which if you sit down to check the cost of everything you've done for that event, there might really be nothing at all to fall back as your profits, your proceeds from the event. So things like these are mostly the challenges in events.
Prior to the current state of affairs, many occasions, mainly social events, are usually characterized with high rates of flamboyance, with its attendants, huge financial burden on celebrants and organizers. The reverse has seemed to be the case now, as costs of organizing events are reduced to its barest minimum, though there are few exceptional cases where some well-to-do individuals and organizations still maintain high-cost events commensurate to the social status. With the ever-rising cost of living as well as inflation, how do event planners and their businesses thrive in a time like this?
People are under incredible pressure to maintain some standards, which is peer pressure. So if Mr. A did so and so thing, Mr. B is under pressure to do the same. So around this area, so many communities are trying to tone down some of these things. So given the reality of the hardship in Nigeria, people that are organizing events, they adjust by way of cutting some of the things they do. So instead of drinking high-end drinks, sometimes they do the local and wine or one thing or the other. And then the invitees, because of the hardship, and sometimes you have like 3 or 4 invitations per week. If you have to attend all of them, it will be too expensive with transportation, fuel cost, and other. So we notice that what people now do is they send money instead of being on the road. Because if you have to go from, let's say, from Lagos to Anambra State, I don't think it's less than 20,000 naira. So if you transport yourself with 20,000 and then you come for the event and you still pay homage, why don't you send the 20,000 to the person? And the person will use it to lower the cost of some of the things, that is to support the expenditure.
As the country continues to grapple with the current economic challenges, many believe that with government assurances, the nation will come out of this situation stronger and better.
Indeed, the nation will come out stronger and better. According to Honorable Prince Ego, he said this is a measure, these realities is a welcome development, because to make Nigerians come to the realization that there's more, that indomitable spirit in them is not there for nothing. And they should look inwards. If they do so, we can do amazing things. Now, why would somebody want to spend so much money at this time just for a birthday party or your daughter or your son's graduation? Does it make economic sense?
I think, well, it all depends. It's very relative. People's pockets or means of income are very, very different. It's just like you say, somebody traveling in a smaller car or somebody traveling in an SUV. So it all depends. But with the party, I think it's a good time for people to come together. It's a merry time. And whatever it pleases your mind to bring people together, the joy of that moment cannot be quantified. So it's got nothing to do with the amount of money.
So you go and spend all the money you have in your account because you want to bring joy.
That will not happen. But if all the money I have in my account can bring joy to the whole community where I live,
you will do it.
I will. I won't think twice about
it would be
doing
wonderful to have you living in my community. That's a wonderful development, because I always say, think kind, think kindness. Let kindness and compassion become our lifestyle. Because even when you cannot give, you can feel, you can empathize, you can sympathize, you can console.
Absolutely.
And that goes a long way sometimes, just somebody having an understanding. We were talking earlier, we went from education, the impact on the fees, and, there'll be a hike, definitely. Private schools, public schools, they need to impact them and raise them, so there'll be a power with the private schools. Now we've gone to celebrations now. But we're still talking about the economic realities on ground. And some have said that we've had just some talks about palliative measures that will be made at federal levels. We know that the state governments are doing what they can to reduce cost of transportation and provide some palliative measures. But there's been talk of giving some amount of money. And some of our messages yesterday from the viewers, some of them espouse that money is good in itself, but more should be done. That especially with the amount that we're hearing, some are saying, how far will that really go? What about more lasting or more impactful palliative measures? If, I were to share that thought with you, are there other areas besides finance that government
Well,
could look
from the
into?
government's point of view, the money they've given out for the amount of it in total is a colossal sum. It's a big money. But having said that,
It hasn't been given out yet.
it hasn't.
I think
But
the process.
yes,
Okay.
in the process, to them, it's quite a large amount. But by the time it dwindles down to everyone,
Per house.
it becomes something that is really not go that far.
When we're talking with Honorable Ego, he said that Nigerians should be patient, that greatness is upon us in just a little bit, and that if we're patient, we will get to feel the impact. We just need to keep pushing, be innovative, think outside the box, and we can pull through this. You think that
Yes.
will work?
That will work because when there's a new dispensation, it takes time for things to start rolling very well. And I think the government of the day, they're on the right track. But the patience of people are kind of
Is wearing thin.
is wearing thin the way it is. So there should be some other things in place.
I should be brought on
just
board.
to be brought up to keep reassuring them. Because at this point where we are, there's nothing we can do about it now.
Indeed.
But even the constant reassurance definitely
Must
will
come.
keep the hope very high.
Okay, indeed. When there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely.
The resilience of Nigerians cannot be overemphasized. We have what it takes to pull through.
That's right.
And we will pull through. Many thanks to you, Femi Shoyaju, co-founder, IFEMAD Global Limited. It's been a worthwhile experience chatting with you. Wow, you went to nooks and crannies that we had hardly thought of. And of course, it's a plus for us Nigerians that you are back home, where hopefully you're already making impact. And of course, you are part of this discourse. You are in Nigeria.
Yes,
So make the
absolutely.
impact where you will and change lives where you can.
Definitely.
Thank you for coming on Weekend Deal
Thank
today.
you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, you're watching Weekend Deal. A break beckons. We urge you not to go away. We will be right back. At this point, we must begin to wrap up our program. We have heard a lot of opinions, and I know we still have our own, but if truth be told, the realities are upon us now. We must think wide. We can start small. We must involve everybody in the home. All hands must be on deck working together. We cannot overemphasize the need to be kind and compassionate and to show empathy. It's not always about giving. Empathizing goes a long way and it can impact people around you positively. Those services you provide for free, put a little price on them. There's no free lunch, even in Freetown. So why should your services and innovation be free? Put a price. People will willingly pay. While we wait for government to do a lot of things for us, we can do a lot for ourselves and for others around us. We are in this together. And if we stay together, work together, plan together, build together, most assuredly, we'll pull through together. God bless Nigeria. From all of us here, it's bye-bye. Have a fantastic week and keep building Nigeria